person. You right now?
Okay, thank you.
Richie?
Tonight is May the 4th, 2021, we call the meeting to order. You would, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
I will, sir, thank you. Mayor Henry,
Here.
Ms. Williams. Here. Mr. Moultrie. Ms. Richardson. Here. And Ms. Glass. Here.
This time, if you would please rise for the invocation by the Mrs. Williams, and maintain the pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come before you now to tell you thank you. Thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be able to come together tonight, Lord God. To be able to bring our ideas together, that it will be able to help the city of Chattahoochee to grow and to be healthy and well. We ask you now, Lord, to be with us as we go through all of this agenda tonight, that the right decisions will be made. We ask you to have your way in this meeting tonight. Continue to watch over Chattahoochee and surrounding counties and areas. All of these blessings we ask in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask everyone, if you haven't silenced your telephones, communicating devices, or whatever, to do that, so we'll have a more conducive meeting for. Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at their meeting agenda for this evening? You can entertain this time of approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda for Tuesday, May 14, 2021.
Thank you, Ms. Richards.
I second it.
Thank you, Ms. Black. Got a motion and approval. Would you call for the vote, please, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Mayor Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Moultrie is absent. Ms. Richardson.
Yes.
And Ms. Glass. Yes.
At this time, do you have any awards, Mr. President?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. It's actually listed under number 7, but it's technically a presentation tonight. We have 2 representatives here from Gaston County. Would like to speak to you about their youth initiative program that they're going to be doing this year. So I don't know who's going to do the presentation.
You want to talk?
You each have a copy of their presentation before you that they'll be speaking from, so that you can follow along. If you change pages, let them.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Cameron and council members. On behalf of the Gaston County Board of County Commissioners, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to share what's being called the Gaston County Youth Initiative. And we want to talk about the next page, the topics that will be discussed in this presentation. We're going to talk about our current landscape, our workforce challenges, the design of the program, anticipated outcomes, key stakeholders, and the next steps. What's the current situation? Our research indicates that the highest unemployment rate by age group is those individuals aged 16 to 24 years old. Their unemployment rate now is currently at 18.2%. And the highest unemployment rate by gender is females. And the largest group of unemployed is minorities, mainly Black and Hispanic individuals. So you have 16 to 24-year-olds with a very high unemployment rate. To add to that, the females, and then those minority females ages 16 to 24, including Black and Hispanic. The most impacted industries are the industries that these individuals usually find employment, accommodations like hotels and motels, leisure and hospitality, things like entertainment, Disney, and those kind of things that have been severely impacted by this COVID pandemic. Personal care services. A lot of those individuals will be your long-term care CNAs and food service workers, and they work a lot in retail. In our three-county area here, Gaston, Leon, and Wakulla, Gaston County has the highest unemployment rate as of March of this year of 5.6%. We also found that, and we're on the next page, I'm sorry. We also found that at the highest point of the pandemic, Gaston County alone had almost 5,000 people to apply for unemployment. And that's a lot of folks. Next page. In researching, our question was, what's the fastest way to get jobs and job security? And of course, as we've all been taught all throughout our lives, education. Education is the key. Whether it's higher education, whether it is post-secondary education in the form of trades, the fastest way to increase your income and to get job security is to get some type of education. Let's talk about the project initiatives on the next page. We designed a project with those two things in mind. We're going to support 100 work-age youth. The first component of the project is career exploration. What do they want to do, and how can we get them ready to do it? So we're supporting the 100 youth are going to be a part of this program, and there is room for some expansion that we'll talk about a little bit later. We're going to do some readiness assessments with them to see what it is that interests them and what they would like to do in their future careers. We'll provide some training, giving them some recognized training so that will give them a leg up in the workforce. We used to call it on-the-job training, but now the new word is experiential learning. Students will, during the program, it's going to be somewhere around a 6-week program. The first 2 weeks, they will be, is when they will receive the training. They'll do their future readiness assessments, and they'll receive some what we call soft skills training. So, how to dress for work, how to interview, how to behave or carry yourself at the job. So in that first 2 weeks, they'll be doing that. And some people, the training portion will be shorter. It won't be longer. It depends on the level they are when they come to us. And then during that time, they will receive $100 a week stipend. Each participant will receive $100 a week during that training phase. Then they will move into the employment phase, and that's where they will be being paid by the program. We have stakeholders that will employ them. They'll be making minimum wage, which is now currently $8.65. And the final step will be at the end of the work experience, there'll be a celebration of their accomplishments and all that they've done throughout the program. I have with me Ms. Laura Bradley, and she's going to give you a little bit more information about the program and what you're looking for in the students that's going to be participating in the program.
Thank you. So what does a student, excuse me, look like? It's youth ages 17 to 19 that are still in school, public or private school. And applying students will need to bring a letter from their school highlighting their performance, their character, and their work ethic. And as a side note, we want to place students with an employer in their hometown. The next slide. So measuring progress, if we're going to be successful, we need to know how we got there. So number one, industry recognized credentials. Each student will earn a minimum of one certification. The second, we will be doing future ready badging. What can be related to as soft skills? We will be giving the experience of employment as well. The next slide. This is the most exciting of all is our stakeholders. The Gadsden County Commission has graciously funded 100 kids. We presented to the city of Quincy last week, and they partnered with us and funded 10 kids. Tallahassee Community College has partnered and agreed to pay for all of the training. The Gadsden School District, they're excited about the opportunity and assisting with the recruiting and providing space for the training. Our Gadsden County Development Council, that's our economic development wing. They're reaching out to employers and to help employ all of our students. So Career Source has partnered as well, and they're assisting in funding. Collaboration is the name of the new game, and we hope that you will all be a part of it. The next slide, these are just a few of the companies that have enlisted in the program, and we encourage each of you to reach out to any businesses that you may know and share the initiative and invite them to be part of the program. Next slide. So what are our next steps? Engage in the municipality. So we're in the process of meeting with each city to share this initiative, encourage everyone to all join, and determine interest in the role you could possibly serve as a learning site or a training site. And the action or commitment, we do not want to go this alone, and we hope that you will join us in this wonderful initiative. Next slide. How can you get involved? You could sponsor youth who reside in your service area. You can serve as an experiential site, or you can provide training space to conduct the orientation or training. This could be anywhere in Chattahoochee. Next slide. We have a very ambitious timeline that began yesterday, May 3rd, and the program will continue through August 19th. And then on August 20th, we will celebrate our students. And this is a pretty detailed timeline, if y'all want to look at that. So in conclusion, we want you to help us invest in our youth. We want you to be a part of this collaboration. And if we do this well, we intend to ask the board to fund this program in their next budget, but to fund it all year round. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
How will they, like you said, they'll be in our community as kids? We have one high school in the county. How will you make sure that the kids from Chattahoochee are placed, that will have the same amount of children like as in other? I know Quincy's larger and they have more businesses, but how will y'all make sure that the kids in Chattahoochee get the same opportunities to be employed or trained here?
And I'm gonna answer that, and I'm sorry, I did not introduce myself when I started this. I am so sorry. I am Georgette Daniels. I'm the Assistant County Administrator for the Gadsden County Board of County Commission. There are two ways that we're gonna be doing this. Of course, the Gadsden County Board of County Commissioners has agreed to fund 100 students, and those students will be a makeup of students from around the county. And you know, all students who meet the criteria, you're 17 to 19 years old, you're currently enrolled in school, or in some cases you may have just graduated. Those students will be eligible as well. The other way to ensure that students from Chattahoochee are involved in the program is to help sponsor the student. Ms. Bradley mentioned the sponsorship of the student. It's $1,200 to sponsor a student. and you can sponsor as many as you like. We are open to expanding the program, and we get partners like yourself to help sponsor some students. If you will say, I want to make sure that, 5 students, I want to be sure that 5 students from Chattahoochee get to participate in this program, you can sponsor 5. There will be some of that 100, of course, there will be some students from Chattahoochee as well. Quincy decided to kick in $20,000 to help fund 10 students. So it's a mix.
So how did these kids learn about, like you said, it's kicked off yesterday? Are they going to them at the school, or how's that working?
We're going to be going to schools, churches, libraries, any and every place, and that's where you all can play a part. That you get the information out. We've already started a media campaign. The applications will be available on May 17th. So there's a window from May 17th through May 30th that the applications, and it's in your packet on that timeline.
So I was just wondering, will this be given to them? Will this,
It's going to be placed at the schools.
like, will y'all do a presentation for the students, or?
We've already done a presentation to the school board. We're looking for the school board to help recruit students, because one of the criteria for the students is that they must have a letter from the school, either from the guidance counselor, the principal, a favorite teacher, or something that kind of lets us know who they are, what their work ethics are, what their interests are, what kind of student they are, those kind of things. And I went back to the slide on the timeline, and it's this one here. So we kicked off yesterday, May 3rd, and that's the meet from May 3rd to May 17th is the media portion, and we're going to be getting those applications out to the schools. Like I said, we're going to get them out to churches. They'll be available in libraries, all those places that kids go. Ms.
Other than giving out the applications, how do the parents, other than filling out the application, get to really know about the program and how it works?
There'll be, as I said, the media campaign, there'll be information first placed out in all those areas that the applications are going to be, so that they can, become familiar with the program. If they have questions, there'll be a number there, or an email that they can reach out to the person that's going to be coordinating the program. TCC is going to be doing the training, so they'll do a lot of that part for us. We're also looking to, of the stakeholders, create a committee, because the committee will be selecting the students from the applications that will participate in the programs. It will be the stakeholder committee that will be selecting those students. It won't be Gaston County Board of County Commissioners. It won't be Gaston County staff. It will be stakeholders that are a part of that committee.
Transportation.
We're going to, that's going to be the responsibility of the parents. We're going to also look at what we can do as far as the Gaston County Express. Maybe we may be able to do some partnerships there to make sure that they are able to get to their job. And we're looking for you guys to identify employers in their home area, so that they will have a better chance of getting to work if they're working somewhere in their home area.
The applications be online for the,
They will be online, and they'll have full access. They'll, like I said, they'll go out to all the schools. We're going to get them out to churches for kids that participate in organized religion. They'll be able to get an application at their church, at the public library here in Chattahoochee.
If some of the parents have questions, will you all be available to assist them?
Some of the program staff that will be working with the program will be available to answer questions.
Okay, so if 100 students that were originally slated to be trained, to be sponsored, the only way that you can guarantee that some are going to be from Chattahoochee.
Some of those 100 are gonna be from there, from Chattahoochee.
Some of them, but the only way to ensure that there are going to be some from Chattahoochee is for us to sponsor some. Is that what you said?
That's, I mean, to ensure that there are additional, because we don't know what the makeup of kids who apply is going to be. But
So
if
there's
you
not
commit
a
to,
percentage, if the students from Chattahoochee make up 10% of the students from the whole county, there's no guarantee that 10% of them are going to be Chattahoochee students. Because y'all don't pick them, the staff, the
committee is going, to be the ones who select. But again, we don't know where kids, who's going to be applying.
The training is going to be held where?
We have multiple locations. We have not set out exactly where those locations are for the training, because we are looking for participation from the community. Because of COVID-19, we can't have 100 kids or 110 or 120, however many we end up with in the Gaston County Commission chambers or in this room. So we're looking at multiple locations and maybe doing smaller groups of trainings over a few days. Like if we have a group come from 8 to 12, and we have another group that comes from 1 to 5, and it will be in multiple locations. We're trying to make it as convenient as possible for those students from whatever area they are to be able to go to a training in their home area. That if they're from Chattahoochee, they don't have to, somehow get transportation to Quincy every day.
Yeah. That's too bad now. What about, so how often will they meet to get the training? Once a week or,
It's going to be a 2-week training.
and that'll be 5 days a week? Is that
Yes, ma'am.
5 days a week?
And when you had the part of here about the credentials, that the students was certification, is that would that help the ones that have not graduated and want to graduate?
The certification will be like
So it's not a substitute for classes.
it's not a substitute for classes. This will be like job type certification.
I really think that it's a great idea, and it will keep, some of our children pretty busy, but we need to see, how we're gonna come up with the $1,200. Is that $1,200 per student?
Right, because what we're doing, like I said, Gaston County is sponsoring the first 100. And so that's like $100 a week, the first 2 weeks, and I think it works out to like $175 or something for the remaining 4 to 5 weeks that they're in the program. So that covers, the employers will not incur any expense for this. That's what the $1,200 will cover. The stipend and then their wages when they go to work.
So we need to wait and see how many of our students are gonna apply, and then that's when we will know how much money that we need to come up with.
We will make sure, if you decide, we can only sponsor 1, or we can sponsor 2, or we can sponsor 3, whatever you guys decide, then we will make sure in our recruitment that we will be reaching out to Chattahoochee area schools, the Western Gaston High, and saying, we have slots for, 10
We only got
students
one
from
high school,
Chattahoochee.
so they should all be there.
And we will make, in that 10 slots, 3 of those are sponsored by you, and the other 7 are sponsored by us.
Okay, I wanted to make that clear because some of them that's listening on today may not be plain enough for them to understand about the $1,200. That's why I asked you that question.
What if 100 students don't apply? What happens then?
Well, I'm sure that more than 100 students, because this is, you know,
Oh, I think it's great, because when I was in high school, they used to drive a bus to, Gadsden to check, and people get certification that way. But what if you don't have 100 people apply, and then all this other, what will happen then?
we're anticipating, to be honest, we're anticipating well over the 100. Because we have gotten some really good feedback. The school board is helping with recruiting. So we are anticipating probably, well, over 100 students.
I just wanna make sure our kids in Chattahoochee get a good shot.
And I understand that.
Because,
understand.
I mean,
And
we
that's
always
why
forgot about on this end of the county, the middle stays kinda, everybody kinda focuses on it. But we got a lot of children down here that's got a lot of talent and a lot, but they just don't have the opportunity to go nowhere to get training. And I think it really needs to be split fairly amongst the county from Midway back.
And that's what we are trying to do. That's why we're coming to you all to get your support, to help partner with us. Because as I said, we're anticipating that we're gonna have more students than we have slots. So we need your help, to help make this opportunity happen for as many students as possible.
This program in the past, and I'm somewhat familiar with it, but had, county staff had made contacts with the different, private industries and all of the different cities. Is this still gonna be pretty much the same way? Have y'all done that yet? Do you know
We have some stakeholders on board already.
in Chattahoochee?
We have a partial listing here, but I don't have the full, because people are adding every day. And again, that's where we want your help, to help us identify, employers here. So that students from Chattahoochee, whomever they're sponsored by, can work in their home area. And they don't have to travel to Quincy or Midway or Havana or some other place there.
But y'all still will be reaching out, making those contacts, or are you
Yes.
asking the cities to do that?
We're asking for your
Yeah,
help,
but you're still going to.
but we're doing it as well.
So the list that we have here, you've contacted these people? Yeah, nice.
That's just some
No,
that
they
have,
serve on the
That
committee.
have already
that already
committed.
have signed
These
up.
have already signed up on this opportunity for all, on slide whatever. It says businesses, Zach Howard. That's that group, they've already committed.
Yes,
And with Gadsden, Development Council, that person is, they're reaching out to as many businesses. as
Well, the ones
they
that I
can.
saw listed on there are people that were appointed to her working group. I'm not sure the title. But I think those that are listed there are the ones of you who are serving on her development committee.
And they-
Okay, so these haven't been talked to then. No, I was gonna say you were tired.
I think that's where that information came from.
So this is the committee that they was talking about forming.
But
But
it's
those
in
are,
the-
those are also, they have committed to being a stakeholder.
Some of them are, but that complete that list, everyone on that list is not committed to providing a job.
Okay.
There are some on that list that are committed to do.
Is the age or eligibility changed from the
But
previous?
this particular program, it has, the old summer youth program where it was 14 to, whatever, and a lot of times it was, somebody.
There was grades involved, GPAs were involved.
Right, and this is going to, some of the criteria, is grades as well. But this is going to be trying to get you ready for future, careers and future work. It's not, okay, I'm gonna go to the park and, I'm gonna help mow the grass, or I'm just gonna be out there hanging out. It's gonna be more structured.
Well, if someone was to come here and do well, I'm sure it would turn into a permanent job as many people are looking for employees.
Yeah.
And I think probably what we need to do is decide, we need to, in our mind, decide if we're going to commit to money at all. And then we need to get with Mr. Preston and see how much money we commit with when the time comes. Y'all not looking for an amount this evening.
We're not looking for an amount this evening, but we are looking for some kind of commitment, because we have a really tight window, for the program, because school is getting ready to get out. We want to get them as they're getting out and get the applications to them, get them signed up, let the committee be able to review the applications. So, there's a very tight timeline.
So you said 100 kids were sponsored by the county commission and 10 kids were sponsored by Quincy?
By the city of Quincy.
Okay, Mr. President,
And-
what we.
If our check came from the county pretty soon, we'd be okay.
For our fire truck?
Yes, ma'am.
That'd be good.
I don't think they got any control over that.
We don't.
We don't.
I thought you were the assistant.
That's above my
Oh.
pay grade. I don't get to say that often.
All right, fellow members, we need to decide what we want to do.
If we can afford it, I think it would be a great idea that we reach out to try and help our, children
Oh,
here to get, some training.
That's exactly right. Because this, as I understand it, now you correct me if I'm wrong, this is not teaching them, the initial training is not teaching them a job. It's teaching them how to make the application, how to write a resume, how to act when you get there.
Exactly.
That are skills that.
And TCC's workforce readiness program is going to be sponsoring and doing all of that training. They will pay for their trainers to do all of that training, and getting them ready to go out to the different, employees.
I think I certainly, something whose time has come needs to be done, but we don't want to overcommit for what we need money-wise. We need to ask the guidance from budgetary funds. So
That's why I asked
We could
Mr.
agree in-
President, where are you?
if we can agree in concept, and we can let him work forward. How
Yeah,
much?
I wouldn't want to commit a dollar amount right now, but if y'all are interested in doing this, give me a day or two to look over, and you're obviously gonna have to take it, you didn't budget for summer employment or training, so we will have to pull it from somewhere, or amend the budget, pull it from reserves, but it looks like y'all are wanting
Well, I think
to
it's,
do something, so that's commitment you're kind of looking for.
Right. And I don't know when you guys, when your board meets again,
Mm.
so, because if this is something that the board needs to vote on, then,
As long as it stays under a dollar amount, I don't think we would have to.
I think if it's under a dollar amount that you can use on discretionary.
I mean, if you think it's appropriate, y'all could pass a motion that you want to participate at a level that could be determined or something like that, if you feel like a motion is necessary. But under a certain threshold, I have, the spending authority. Up to you.
Yes.
So, Mr. Attorney, do we need a motion for that?
Yes, I would see that.
Yeah.
You think it would be best to do that? Okay.
Yes, you need a motion.
Well, he has city power, that's what we were asking. No, I was saying, Mr. President, I have certain spending power that we wouldn't have a motion for.
So if it's the desire of the council to allow him to do that, if he can give us a figure that he feels comfortable with, if someone would make a motion to that effect, I think we can have it on the floor.
I make a motion for Mr. President to find out how much we're allowed to contribute to this Gadsden Youth Initiative
Well, and to participate in the program.
and to participate in the program. Are you,
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ladd. Thank you, Ms. Richards.
just make sure our kids get the same fair share now, I'm saying.
You've got a motion on the floor, and second, is there any discussion from the floor? No discussion from the council.
You do need to open public
I
participation.
asked you, but I didn't do anything. Okay. Would you call for the motion, the vote, please, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir, but I want to clarify the motion. The motion is to allow Mr. President to determine the amount of funding to be provided by the program and for the city to participate in the program, in the youth initiative program.
That's what this man said.
Okay. Let's take a vote on that. Mayor Kimry,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Mulchy's not here, Ms. Richardson,
Yes.
Ms. Glass.
Yes.
And Mayor Commissioners, I just want to say thank you for, your vote of confidence in this program, and thank you for agreeing to participate.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And anytime that you, as it goes along and progresses, please let us know how it's going, the number of students from the Chattahoochee area that have applied. It may be that we have to adjust something, but just let us know.
All right, we certainly will.
And let us know what we need to do, type of businesses or whatever, but we can help out.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, back to our award presentations in here. We have, the chief has got two new people he wants to introduce to us.
Yes, I do. Good evening, everybody.
You may want to turn the camera around so they can see you.
Yeah, I forgot I got multiple roles today.
So they can see you and then.
Let's get us in there. Like I said before, I got two new hires here. You may or may not know them. We got Ms. Pamela Anderson here, formerly from the Gaston County Sheriff Department. We got Mr. Andrew Sullivan from the Jackson County Sheriff Department. And they bring, I guess between the two of them, they bring about 18, 20 years of experience. So I just want to welcome them to everybody.
As you say, I am Pamela Anderson. I do have 17 years of law enforcement experience, dual certified corrections as well as law enforcement. I'm honored to be a part of this team. City manager, commissioners, appreciate this opportunity, and I look forward to being a great asset to the city of Chattahoochee.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
As Ms. Anderson was saying, as well, I've come with about 3 years' experience. I thank y'all for this opportunity and look forward to being an asset to this team and to our chief. And thank y'all.
You good. Not too much from each other.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have any other appearances?
No, sir.
Sorry, Mr. White.
That comes under citizens to be heard.
Trust everyone has had a chance to look at the minutes from our last regular meeting.
Yeah.
Those need to be approved by motion.
I also motion that the minutes be appended for,
April.
for our last council meeting in April.
Ms.
Be
Williams,
accepted if there's no corrections that need to be done. Second.
second by Ms. Richardson. Any discussion from the floor?
On minutes, you have authority to approve those without public input.
Mayor Kimry,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Moultrie is absent, Ms. Richardson,
Yes.
Ms. Glass.
Yes.
We don't have any public hearings. Do we have anyone that, from the council, the floor that wanted to speak?
Yes, there is one.
Okay.
My understanding, Mr. Simmons.
I turn it into.
Yes, sir. Mr. Simmons would like to speak on essential and critical services in the grocery store.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Isaac Simmons, 24 English Street, Chattahoochee, Florida. First, I want to thank the council and the city manager for their involvement in this youth initiative. I think it's great to invest in our youth. We talk about our young people all the time, but the bottom line, if we don't invest in it and put anything in it, we're not going to get anything out of it. My main reason for speaking this evening is essential services for small towns, municipalities. I think, you know, in the city of Chattanooga, we don't have a grocery store. A grocery store is considered as essential services for, you know, to maintain the health and welfare of the citizens of this town. I think at some point, I'm not saying we haven't done it, but we need to have a major conversation about what we can do to solicit some type of economic growth as it relates to a grocery store. The reason why it touched me, I was in a little small town on the other side of Cottonwood on the weekend. And it was about a quarter of the size of Chattanooga. But they had a grocery store sitting right in the middle of town. And everywhere we go to every community around us, they all have grocery stores. You know, and it's sad to say that we live in a town where we can't even buy any fresh fruits and vegetables. We can't even buy a tomato unless we drive 5 miles to Sneeze or whatever. But what we got to do is find out what can we do as a city to invest into the future of this town. If this town gonna grow economically, then we got to invest in it to make it grow. You know, nobody's gonna come in here, or they haven't come in and just put a grocery store in the middle of town without the involvement of the city council. You know, you have to invest in not just the infrastructure, but you can invest in the economic growth of this city. You got to plant the seed. And right now we don't have that. You know, if a city is not growing economically, then it's beginning to die. And I think we at a point where we don't have anything basically to retain the revenue that's generated in the community. We have businesses where we're generating revenue, but there's nothing here to retain that revenue. People are driving everywhere spending their money. But we need to have a conversation about a grocery store. You know, it's a shame you got to drive to another county in order to buy groceries. You don't have an option. And that should be, I'm speaking to you all, that should be a priority of the council. What can we do to get a grocery store here? And I did some research. I think there's some government assistance available because federal government has determined that that is an essential service for the citizens of this, you know, not just Chattanooga, but anywhere. And you need to have a conversation about what we can do to make it happen.
Well, when I called people, I'm gonna tell you, they said they wanted to be on the main strip of town, which is 90. Well, there's really not a big space any longer for, that's what I've run into when I call like stores, and they'll say, well, we don't want to be on a side street, we want to be on 90. And so that's one of the problems I run into when I've talked to them. Because I even talked to the Dollar General about doing a, like they have in Port St. Joe, one of the marketplaces. But they said they didn't have enough space.
Yeah. Well, there's space in town for a grocery store. We can't determine whether it's going to be on 9 or whatever. But the key to it is we need to have we need to have a grocery store.
Because old people can't go everywhere.
Yeah.
If I may, and you're right, that was one of the main priorities this council had when they hired me. That was on the top, like 5. And we had some change come in, look at our real estate and Cypress, same stories, you know, and I updated y'all as those chain people came in. But we have one opening in 2 weeks from Bainbridge across the street over here. I don't know if you were aware of that.
Grocery store?
It'll be called Ed's Meat House. If you've been to Bainbridge, right there where you come in from 97 from Chattanooga, by the Pepsi Cup, you've seen that one on the right, they redid, and it's a light grocery store, but it has all the things, a lot of meats, vegetables, breads, and things. It's that gentleman, and they're remodeling now, but it will be open within 2 weeks.
That's great news.
Yeah, 2 weeks. So we're proud
Now
of
we
having
just gotta
him.
make sure people will come and support it.
Yeah, and that's on my thing to talk about later. There's several other things happening, but we have to support. I'm glad to hear you saying this, and I hope folks at home are listening. When we get an opportunity like this, we really need to support our local people.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the feedbacks that I want to just say with Main Street is promoting our businesses. I think I was here last month, we talked about having something downtown to promote our businesses and stuff. So we need to do that. You know, I wasn't aware of that. But the key to it, and I want to end with this, is that the city has to be willing to invest in housing. You talked about that at some conference you went to last month.
Yes, exactly.
The city has to be willing to take the first step to invest in some of these ventures in order for the town to grow. If you put funds in it, then you'll get something out. Now, it troubles me, just as a citizen, that pay taxes, do everything I'm supposed to do, when something coming for you, you know, you always talk about the budget. I understand you have to deal with the budget, and you can go back and amend your budget or whatever. But you sit on, based on the little numbers I've seen, you have revenue, but it's not doing you any good when it's just sitting there. Until you put it back into the community to make it multiply and grow, then you're not really doing yourself any good and doing the citizens any good. So you're gonna have to be willing to take a risk and spend a little money sometimes. You know, just like you're stumbling over that little $1,200. You know, I understand. You have to be physically responsible, but you got to invest in the future. If Chattanooga don't grow, you got to invest. If you don't invest, then we're not gonna grow. So thank you for your time. And then I think you're gonna follow up on the issue about public events. Okay.
That's coming.
All right, thank you. It ain't on mine, but
And Mr. Simmons, in our last meeting on last month, Mr. Presnell actually talked about the grocery store, the meat market that is getting ready to come in. You may have missed that.
I must have sleep because I was here.
He spoke about it in our last meeting.
You probably spoke kind of low.
That's his mask.
Ms. Person, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know this has been done before when we go to talk about the youth. You hired them over the summer. Are we doing that again?
We budgeted some money for, some part-time in our street department. So you already do make a commitment.
Hired youth in the
Yes,
summer.
ma'am. I mean, y'all been, I
I'm
know
just
for the last
making
2
sure that we
years.
continue
But
to do that.
ALCO won't let them run a weed eater or anything, cause they gotta be 18 nowadays, it's crazy.
It's okay, but we still employ those
Yeah.
youth over the summer. I
You
just
have the
wanna
last
make
2
sure.
years, this council has invested in summer
I just
youth.
wanna make sure, even though we invest in that, we'll continue to employ our youth over the summer.
Thank you, Ike, for keeping us on our toes. That was all the public hearings we had. General business is, we need to talk about at least on our second grapple truck.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, briefly, you saw this one, I guess it was the last meeting, I told you the second one would be coming, it's a little staggered on the leases. Same truck, same lease agreement, it's a 2-year lease as you went to 2 years ago. Again, the annual payment went down a little bit from the previous lease, the ones we're turning in. It'll be $34,665 annually, and that is budgeted in your public works budget currently for both trucks. So this would be approval to renew that lease, swap the trucks out.
Anyone on the council have any questions for Mr. President on this? This is the budgeted item. We budgeted it tonight. Estimate done. This will bring us back to 2 grapple trucks on the road.
Yes, sir. We went back to 2 yesterday. We have a loaner now. One of our trucks went down, about a week. The new truck actually had to go back to the dealer. It, as you know, causes a problem when those trucks are down around town. But we have a loaner now as of yesterday. They delivered a loaner.
Very good. All right, ladies.
I make a motion that we approve the renewal lease with the RDK trucking for the second gravel truck.
Second motion.
Motion was made by Councilman Richardson and seconded by Councilman Williams. Thank you so much.
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Williams, Ms. Richardson,
Yes.
and Ms. Black.
Yeah.
When would we expect the delivery on that, Robert? It may be here, but I don't remember.
This week.
This week.
Good.
There you go.
People know when there ain't but one truck running, like that.
You can tell it after a couple of days.
Oh.
It doesn't take long.
That's when the phone blows up.
Doesn't take long.
The neighborhoods are piling up. People been cleaning the yard.
They have those, you really hate to complain about it because the yard, the houses are looking, people are doing things. It's looking so much better.
Okay,
All right.
next we have on our agenda the amendment and extension contract for waste pro.
Now, this is something, and if it's something you choose to do at the end, now, you have to, do this extension by ordinance. So basically what you would be approving tonight is for staff to proceed, that you wish to proceed with an ordinance preparation to amend the contract, okay? But, you know, we've been working on this for months now. The representative from Westboro is here to answer any questions you have there, but, we looked into going into the collection business ourselves due to the complaints, and problems in service that had been, you know, reflecting to you and myself and City Hall. And we worked on that with them while we were going back, but we budgeted out equipment, trucks, cans, and looked into the disposal of what it would take for the city to do that if you so choose. But during this time, like I said, we were negotiating with Waste Pro and came to, what I think is something you should look at. It was something I could bring back to you, and it consists of basically the same contract you have, but with a $1 reduction in rates effective with this contract, and then also the waiver of the annual CPI, which would be immediate 60-cent savings right there to the customers. But the big kicker would be in the amendment itself, and y'all have it, I'm sure you read it, but it allows, that's in there now. But if you will look, it covers section 1 and 2 is term, and then that rate decrease. But if you go farther and C, if you look at C, I think is what we had trouble working out between C and Waste Pro, and that deals with the complaints and missed pickups, things of that nature, the things that makes it to you as a council person from irate citizens. But records will be kept, may be available for city inspection all times, blah, blah, blah. But if they resolve it, something they resolve in-house, there would be a record of it. Of course, you know, most people, we maintain our own records. We have a key point, Maria, at City Hall. But it allows for the city manager or his designee and a representative of the contractor, if there's a dispute, we try to work the dispute out, but disputes shall be referred to the city manager, and his decision shall be final to include remedies or arbitration. So we all know what remedies means. So I think what I send you is I think we have verbiage in this contract now, and it has been better, but to move forward with it being even better. And if it's not better, we have remedies now. Where your previous contract, I didn't have no remedies other than we call and they were very diligent about sending somebody back on a missed pickup and those type of things. But it's just always better when you have the remedy. I think this contract, amendment to the contract gives you that. I don't know when I've ever heard about a price reduction in solid waste services in the last 30 years, but so it includes that. And if you have any questions, something that in particular you want to hear from the horse's mouth, there he is. But looking at both sides, you know, we've looked at it and budgeted it, and I think I brought you some of those numbers months ago, but my recommendation with what we have included now, what they've agreed to include in doing this would be to extend it, would be my recommendation. It's totally up to y'all.
So if we have a consensus on that, we don't need any form of motion tonight, just if there's a consensus for us to proceed to bring you back. That in adoptable form, that's what we need.
So, one, we go with this, I'm not a lawyer, I read it, but I don't. What if they go back to doing what they were doing, where there wasn't, garbage cans in the street, trash everywhere, I'm getting called about it. So, are we gonna be?
Well, they're bringing in a lot of new cans now. There's a lot of can replacement going on.
Well, I don't think it had nothing to do with cans.
But there has been some issues on that. Now, you're gonna always have some about it was pulled out, it wasn't exactly in the same spot it was. You're gonna always have some of that.
Streets.
Yeah, you know, those are things you have to resolve. The missed pickups are the big one.
So, that's what I'm saying, what if it gets worse? What can,
Well, why
are
would
we
we
stuck
take-
in this for 5 years?
If I have to send a city crew to go deal with it, why would I pay waste pay?
Well, that's what I'm saying, that's what I wanna do.
That's what C.
Well, I wanted to make sure I understood it correctly, I'm not a lawyer, And that's why I wanna ask.
They're in the business of revenue, of making money. I'm sure he has a boss somewhere, and they have a boss somewhere, but if their revenue is going down because, I mean, somebody's gonna fix something.
One of the main problems was, once a week pickup. What did you ever come up with about that?
That's what the contract calls for, and you would be looking, the residents would be looking at, exponential increase in rates, and I don't think nobody wants to entertain that.
Because that was one of our, main questions, it was about the pickup, once a week pickup, you can remember.
Yeah, and you know, we were trying to model ours on the twice a week pickup.
Right.
It's doable, but it's,
What if somebody has to have 2 garbage cans? Is there a way to do that? And how much would that be?
Yeah,
Well, I know you gotta pay for it. I don't even have a garbage charger.
So, there is the opportunity for a second can. Would you like me to stand up?
Yeah, sure, so the people on the, thing from here, out there.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Lloyd Childry, Governmental Affairs for Waste Pro for the coastal region. I live here in Tallahassee. There is an option to get a second can. It's not spoken to in this contract. However, typically, in an environment like this where there is a need for a second can, it's not a double service. It's $6 more. It's $4 more. City manager and myself would have to sit down alongside with y'all and come up with that number, but it's not double the rate. So if someone needs another can, they can give us a holler. We'll bring it out there. We'll negotiate the rate. Unfortunately, it would probably have to be either an attachment, an amendment to the contract, or we can just do it in a memo form where both parties sign and agree to it.
it's doable. But cool, while you're up, tell them what that twice a week pickup entails.
Well, it's not just picking up another can, it's the liability, the trucks, the drivers. There's, in more than not, communities are going to single week service because in order to dispose of this garbage now and the damage it does to the roads, to the infrastructure of having these big trucks in and out of these, municipalities on a more regular basis, it does more damage to the infrastructure. It costs more to the city to try to repair that infrastructure. It's a safety issue to have these big trucks running in here more than once a week. To be honest with you, it is a big concern for a few residents. And it may be more here than in some communities. But once you have a single stream of service, people get used to it. And you don't want to have a double service if 10% of the people want double service. They can just get another can at a reduced rate. We'll pick it up at the same time, and then you're not experiencing the traffic, the damage to the infrastructure, the safety issues.
I was just wanting to see if that was an option to be able to get a second can, because some people do have a lot of trash.
Right.
And I don't, but I understand. And we was used in Chattahoochee for years, they picked it up twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
So, we kind of set in our old ways, some people are, but, I mean, that makes me feel better that they can get a second can if they're needing that for that one time pickup.
Absolutely can.
And I don't want to suppose to understand what you're thinking, but let me ask this question if you don't mind. So if let's say that we're having a 50th wedding anniversary for someone at their house, and we know that we're going to have a larger amount of refuse than we normally have at that time.
Right.
Okay. Can we use a non-approved container if we let the people know, or do we have to have an approved container for it to be picked up? If it's not going to be a constant, I don't want to put you on the spot. But
Right, and
I think I did.
you really did. Garbage is garbage.
Yeah.
If we can pick it up while we're there, we can do it.
But it needs to be contained in a bag.
It needs to be contained, and depending on the type of truck we're using, whether it's an ASL where it reaches out and grabs it, you take something you buy from Walmart and stick it out there, we'll crush it, and it won't work. thing in there. If you have an event like that and you give us enough notice, we can take care of it. It just can't be on a regular basis because the disposal of, we pay by the ton when we dump it, and those loads do add up. And then on top of that, when we route a vehicle through a community, on average, we know what that community is going to produce on a route day. So if you have somebody, we try to route it so when we get finished, we're done and we're heading to the landfill. If we run into a resident that had a large event and we picked up 10 times more than we should have, we might not be able to finish a route because of that. We'd have to run up yonder and then come back.
So I really was pleased with the what they were willing to do financially for the city. I think it shows the commitment that they had to working with us over these months and negotiating, and I really appreciate that. I think it showed that you value the city as a customer.
Right. When Mr. President called, we came.
We agree that we want to push this on. We have to do it by ordinance, Mr. Miller?
We'll bring you back an ordinance, we'll read two readings.
So we're good on time, so I will get the executed contract to you.
Sounds great.
Well, that'll come on adoption of the second reading.
Right, but I'll get it to you before this one expires.
So you need to put in there, negotiate with him about the second county when during this time?
I'll work that out.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Mr. President.
Now, we need to ask him to let his workers be a little bit more courteous to these elderly people.
Are we talking about me again?
They were talking about you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You need to talk to your workers about being a little bit more courteous and lenient with these elderly people, because most of Chattahoochee is retirement people, elderly people. And I've had to come in between a couple of the conversations. So if you would just ask them to be a little bit more lenient, a little bit more courteous to these elderly people.
Yes, ma'am. We have a safety meeting every Thursday morning.
Please bring it
And
up.
I'll go into that safety meeting and I'll bring that to the attention of the folks that run this route.
And remind them that's how they get paid.
Oh, yes, ma'am. They understand money.
And I know that their contract was almost ready to walk out that front door.
Yes, ma'am. I'll let them know. Y'all have a good night.
You too, thank you for coming.
All right, briefly, as you know, the legislative session is closed out. It's all the bills are passed. It's up to the governor now. I made several requests, but we were lucky enough to get the $50,000 for that bike trail on the new property down there. Did pass House and Senate, so hopefully the governor would see no reason to veto that. So that's a good thing. As much interest as there was in that mountain bike trail, and so all that's kind of coming together on that project down there, the new property. I updated you some things I was concerned about. We came out pretty good on two of them I know of. The utility pole co-locations, the back and forth, all these internet providers were trying to get laws passed. They could use everyone's poles for free. That worked out. If someone is expanding into a new area, we do have to let them have it, but that won't be the case here. That'll apply more to rural areas, but $1 a year for 3 years. And then there's Public Service Commission oversight over it now. So we came out, cities, Chattahoochee came out good on that one. The home-based businesses, that went back and forth. You know, the state just tried to override the local government's period. But the final versions that passed, I don't even think we're even gonna have to amend our land development code. It pretty much matches what you have here about percentage of a home can be used for a business, and I don't even think, we're gonna look at it, when the governor signs it, we know it's final, but I think it almost fits what we're doing here in Chattahoochee. Not sure yet what the wastewater treatment, some things passed, Initially there was a thing in there about population would be exempt under a certain population. I don't know yet. I will update you when we find out exactly what the rules that DDP is going to make include. You have a copy of a letter that the mayor sent on our behalf. Congressman Loftus' office contacted. They were in one of those bills in Washington. Some money became available, and I guess some of each of the congressmen get some of it. But he has some money for some projects in his district, and we submitted one. It's all kind of sad, but the mayor signed a letter. I want y'all to have a copy of his letter requesting that funding for that project, long sought after project that we're still after across the street there. I think it's a perfect fit for the use of that money, and hopefully the congressman can make it happen. So if y'all see the congressman to communicate with him, put in a plug for the project. New businesses, as Mr. Simmons related to us every meeting, I try to give you an update just to make sure everybody knows what's going on. As you know, this week the big news was Hoochie's Teas and More opened up on Monday yesterday, and I went by there and bought some things. It was pretty busy. A lot of people lived there, so we're very proud of any new business. That one's not really my cup of tea. It's more for the ladies, but I bought a couple things for the wife, and I wish them all the best, and we'll help them any way we can as we do all the businesses. And last week, Hall's Steamboat Restaurant opened up, so it's kicking out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they have lunch on Sundays. So those two that we've been talking about for a while, and some of these we can't say too much too early because the owners don't wish for that to be, but we knew about both of those, and they are open now. Just now, I could talk about, I had mentioned the grocery store thing previously, but it's Meat House, be located in that building right there. They're remodeling right now. I met with a young man. Well, he looks young to me. He tells me to quit saying that way. Nice guy. He's been in the business a long time, but if you see him over there, he looks like a young guy, but he's working real hard to get the store ready and stop and talk to. He's a very nice guy. He's glad to be here, and we're glad to have him here. But we can't say enough, as I try to do with all these businesses, we have to support them. We've said, I've been in 2.5 years, and everybody, we want this. We worked hard to do whatever we can as a city to create an environment for these business people to thrive. So now we have to support it. And that includes every restaurant, the boutiques, and this grocery store for sure, because this grocery store is such a priority. I mean, it was my personal priority before I worked here, because I live and shop here. And we're just so proud to have it. Some of his ideas are great, and he's flexible on things that the city would like to see about adding them. If there's things that we want, he'd be glad to do that. But he specializes in good quality meats, and it's modeled after that store in Bainbridge right there at the red light.
When does he think he's going to be open, Robert?
I think it's about 2 weeks.
And did he say how many people he was going to employ?
No, he didn't. He does most of the meat cut himself, but he has to have a front person. It won't be a real big employer, I wouldn't think. If he gets going, he'll have to have 2 or 3. There's one cashier can't be there all the time, and he might get where he needs help in the meat room. But that would be a good question. We get him up and running, we'll find out. He has a dollar amount that he thinks he can do weekly, based on his experience. Similar, he's got one. He's got a very good plan.
And now if we can get help at all of these businesses, that's having a tough time right now.
Yeah, they all struggle with employment right now, and I guess it's because there's so much money out there. And going back to Hoochie's, that grand opening is May the 28th. If anybody's off that day or available,
what time do you have?
Ribbon cut, it'll be 10 a.m. I'm sure. We usually do them at 10, but it's 28th, May the 28th. And then we haven't scheduled a date for Ed's yet, but there'll be a ribbon cut over at Ed's.
What about the Family Dollar? Did they ever decide about doing a ribbon
They
cut?
did respond. But we're going to do one. It looks like we may not get the governor. I've been holding off, but your new resort at the river and all. I'd really like to get that. Y'all come dedicate it one day when I can get you all. That one, I just really like to have all of you there if I could. And we don't have to do it on a certain day whenever it works out. But I think we really need to dedicate that as a city, that's a
Yeah.
big project.
Yeah.
And we're fixing to start groundbreaking on phase 2. So maybe we can combine those or something, but we're gonna be doing that, I've been trying to get the governor to come. Mo's be opening back up this week,
Oh, good.
over, yeah, everybody know where he's at over at the old Pastor Grass Trailer Park? Everybody call Mo's,
So he will be open back up this week?
Yes, ma'am.
Lord.
Your phone number?
same phone number. Same phone number, I'll be so proud to see him up and going. Told him so. We have a movie crew, be coming in on May the 15th. It'll be from 5 p.m. until probably 9 or 10 that night. But they'll be down at the Golson Nature Park. And it's the FSU film crew, and they want to use that scene that fits in for their filming. But there'll be cameras and some lights and things, so everybody will know what's going on down there that night.
And that's what that
Get
is?
with you on our meeting tomorrow about locking the gate and security things, make sure they all get out of there.
June 15th?
May the 15th.
May 15th.
May 15th, 5 p.m. until maybe 10 p.m. So
Let's make sure the bathrooms are all real clean.
everybody, may think, call and say the park's supposed to be closed or whatever, but it is the FSU movie crew will be down there. All right, one last thing, and we touched on it a little tonight, but at the last meeting, you wanted me to do some research, and I have. A lot's happened since our last meeting. With the governor's order, the Centers for Disease Control changed their recommendations. The Florida Surgeon General changed his recommendations, or her recommendations. And then what the governor did, I guess just yesterday, 2 different orders. So it kind of helps us along. But prior to all that, I got with the health department and got with the capacity of the buildings and things y'all wanted to know. The city of Quincy also opened up May the 1st at 50%. And that includes the meeting room and lobby. The lobby, they're just limiting the number of people in it. But they're opening up the audience to the meeting, but it will be like 50% capacity. So everybody's in agreement. Centers for Disease Control, the health department, we still need to maintain indoor social distancing, spaced out some with some masks. Outdoor events now, everybody's kind of just opening that up, even saying you don't have to wear masks. So I think that would cover our 4th of July event. I think that answers itself. If y'all are okay with it,
I'm okay.
I need to immediately put together, unless somebody has a problem with it, I need to have a meeting as soon as possible with the town, groups in town, and start putting that together. Because it'll be here before you know it. We got a line of vendors and all kinds of things. So I guess that's the first one. Everybody, if we're okay with that outdoor event? Okay.
What about Main Street? Will they be able to have their final Fridays and all that?
If you're good with what we're doing tonight, they will be.
Okay. And so we'll be able to do that Christmas thing like they had talked about and presented? The walk and shop?
Well, they want to do that in November.
Right, I know, but it's gonna be for Christmas.
Right.
Like they have in Bainbridge and Thomasville.
And as fast as it's changing now, and what Dr. Cookson told me, this 70% that everybody wanted to get to doesn't look like it's ever gonna happen. We're about 50% when everybody's had one shot, and that they'll have their second one pretty soon. We'll be at 50% have been vaccinated. All sites, and it's kind of nationwide. It's not just here by any means. I guess it's hard to get people to show. We do one here every Friday. That first one was a huge success. Then it tapers off, but they're having trouble finding people willing to take the vaccine. Plenty of vaccine available now. It's free. You can get it anywhere, and they're shutting down sites. So the 70% is just not going to happen. And so we're at 50% pretty much. People been vaccinated, and it looks like we're going to hover there for a while. So, and everyone seems to think outdoor events are fine. So your big question tonight, I guess, is the one we discussed before, is the inside. And I spoke with Quincy, spoke with the health department, and people doing different things. And this conversation started with the rental of our Oak Street Recreation Center and down at the RV park. And so I think we could safely do that, but I think you should limit it to, as others have, 50% capacity. And you can't mandate any other precautions, but, we can have a sanitizer thing there and recommend masks if you rent the building. recommend that you social distance with mask, but with 50% capacity,
And you got the capacity numbers?
that puts 40 in that building. Yes, ma'am. The clubhouse down there was 102, so it maxed it out at 50 in that big building, so you wouldn't think, unless they were just dancing, they wouldn't have to be real close together. You know, people are gonna kind of do what they wanna do, but, that capacity is 102, so you can talk about 50 people. If you want to rent it, you'd be limited to 50 people.
And if they're not, then the police can have jurisdiction to make them leave, right?
Well, yeah, if they violate what the rental agreement is, then we change it to 60% capacity, which is 50 people. Let's say if they're gonna be in there from 8 to 10, sometime mid of the event, you know, a fireman, a policeman, or myself could check it and just stick your head in and see if you think it's 80 people in there or 40. So look, you got too many people, but again, you are now restricted from passing anything, mandating anything as far as masks or gatherings, things of that nature. But if it's on the rental agreement, I think we could do it. Same with the rec center. Here, when you social distance, as I did them today, you kind of see what you got. If you want to maintain the 6 foot, this is kind of what your capacity will be.
What, did you say what capacity was at the Oak Street Center?
It was 197. That's far. I mean, that's see, it's based on square footage. That's for the entire building. That includes the rooms and the bathrooms and the kitchen. So it's not really that. That room that most people use
The main room.
out front, it would be way less than that. But the building itself is 197. But what we would allow would be way less.
Right, but they don't, when we rent it, they don't have access to all the rooms.
Correct.
On the end of that, so.
Correct. So we would have to subtract that.
Yeah, we just need to.
You would probably get more like 100, just offhand. We'll measure the floor, but it might be 100 in there, so you would have to be reduced to 50.
If that's just like 197 right then, that little spot, that's way too many.
They measured the building. We had those old ones, but I wanted to get new numbers based on current fire marshal standards, just so I would know.
That's certainly encouraging. I really would be able to make up that capacity.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not familiar with events you had in the past prior to Michael, but did you have events with more than 50?
There were times it was, yeah. It wasn't, I don't think it was a regular, but it was occasional.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we will have to kind of watch it then, but, that would cover those two facilities. This one here kind of is what it is, because we use CDC and everyone still likes the 6 foot and the mask indoors, so it's kind of where you are for at least another month or two here. The lobby, we would open, and recommend, again, you would recommend limited, don't fill the lobby over people and wear a mask.
Yeah, the lobby needs to be up.
What do you think about that? Do you think that we need to say that the lobby is open and just have it for maximum of 2 or 3 people? Or?
In my personal opinion, yes, sir, I would say a maximum of 2 people. We do have some elderly people that come through the drive-through and they have a difficult time reaching out of their car when they are to put their pills into the bin to be picked up. And I would say for people who do need to come inside and take care of business, but look at it 2 at a time. Because I think there's enough space between the counter for each of our employees to handle it effectively. And then that way there's not anybody standing behind them while they're doing their business, and they can, distance outside or be outside. I think it would be appropriate. So.
If we do signage for that, just please limit it to
Yes, sir, our ladies have already taken one of the caution signs that we use on wet floors and made a sign that said limited to two customers inside in anticipation of your action tonight.
So that's where staff is, and we tried to research the questions that I remember y'all asking, and be glad to try to answer anything else.
Miss Granberry, you was, she had contacted you about the Mayfest?
Yes.
And so that'll be
I
able to
thought it depended on what y'all did tonight.
Okay.
Did that cover everything we talked about as far as the opening back up last week, last month?
Robert, let me know what I can do to help with Fourth of July.
Well, okay, yeah, you might not be able to come to our meeting, we have, but we'll fix that, I may have it this week, but
Okay.
at the
Yeah,
latest
they come
date.
during the day.
I hate to put you on the spot, but do you think that they would go back with the File Fridays at what time if we allow them to do that now?
Well, we haven't discussed the time, but if we go back with it, the time would probably be the same as last year. We probably start about 6 o'clock, 6 to 10. Yeah, set up between 5 to 6, and the event be from 6 to 10.
So you think that would be something that would happen in June or July, or?
Well, I think it'll probably be June before July. You know, and you know, we changed the dates on this summer months because of it was so hot. And but we haven't discussed that yet. We were just trying to get the green light to sit down and have a meeting to put it on the table and discuss it. But it'll be from 6 to 10. And we'll go through the same permit and everything, you know, notify Mr. Presco and everything to apply for the dates and things. So you'll know way ahead of time.
Well, we'll have to actually bring it to them to get blanket approval on the alcohol like we did before.
Yeah.
If you're still gonna be there.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Yeah. So, we'll get that, if y'all are good with it, we'll get with Main Street, cause I'm sure they'll be wanting to set some dates, and we'll get a item back before you on that.
I'm good now. Even, I almost hesitate to say this, but there are people that would think that if we're only at 50% capacity for the area, then we need, our rate needs to be at 50% rate too. We still have to have the same rate for renting spaces.
Well, that'd be totally up to y'all, but you still burn the same amount of electricity, you still do the same amount of cleanup, you're buying the same amount of insurance.
Yeah, this is the new norm.
And y'all have already set the rates in a month, when we thought we were gonna be opening 6 months ago, but there is the rate structure that exists that you've looked at and approved, but if you get any feedback or need to bring it back, we'll bring it back.
Where it is, and that'll be left up to them, whether they do it or don't.
I think it needs to be where it is.
Yeah, and if they break the capacity amount, they don't get the refund, they
That'll
don't.
be left up to them, whether they do or they don't.
That's right, we'll have the deposit.
Yeah, if the deposit, if they break if the police go down there and sees 80 people, they don't get the deposit back.
That gives us a little bit of
Yeah.
fee.
I can.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work.
Yeah, I can say give them a check. If you go down there and they got too many people and want to say, hey, some people gotta leave, and if they don't leave and go back, then you keep the deposit rate. Just give them a chance, cause, I mean, a small chance.
We'll make it work. And one other thing too, I've been approached by specifically 2 groups, and I asked them where they were back when I brought it, but everybody doesn't follow the council meetings, I guess, but there's 2 groups that have historically used it without paying for a long period of time, and they're telling me that we're still gonna have the same arrangement. I go, I can't authorize that. That will have to go through the council. I don't know what your other deal was, but I've already been to the council. We set a rate structure for rental of the buildings, both buildings. You set a rate, but they're probably gonna have a problem with it. So all I know to do is bring it. If they can come up here before you and ask, I don't have the authority to let some people use it for free.
I don't know which group you're talking about, but that may not be something we talk about here, we talk about later, but do y'all have any idea which group you're talking about?
If they approach us again, though, I'll just have to tell them they have to appear before you and
Well, I mean,
request
how
it.
do we decide who gets it now?
Yeah.
I sure can.
If they want to do that, they need to get on the agenda and ask for that.
Thank you, sir.
We'll have to make a decision then.
That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Miller, have you anything?
I need to report to you that I will miss the next meeting. I have an unavoidable conflict that night. I'll be communicating with Mr. President by telephone and be available to be called if there's any issues that you need my participation in. I'm sorry for that conflict. It's sort of a once in a lifetime event that's unavoidable for me to not attend. Thank you. I didn't have anything else. Obviously, we had worked the waste management issue already, so.
Thank you for working so diligently.
Yeah, we do.
Ms. Williams? Have you anything tonight?
Now I'm going to just tell Mr. But before I do that, let us not forget, May the 27th. All of the volunteers, I'd like for them to be here, if possible, at 9 o'clock. The truck is supposed to be here at 9, for the second harvest, so that we can, be ready to kick it off at 10 o'clock. We have a new, supervisor over second harvest, and some things has changed. So they're asking that the truck come in at 9, and we will be ready to flow at 10 o'clock on the 27th of May. Mr. Preston, you said that they're getting ready to open up. Will there be a conflict with the locations that we have now?
Yes, sir. What, they have offered, there's a side parking lot. We could still use it. We can't use the one in front of the doors. But we're welcome to use the other side if it will work. Other than that, we went, but because of the conflict, because the date's already been put out at the location, I know we did the paperwork with them. I don't know if we could change it for this. We'll worry about that in June, but it won't be no problem to have somebody there that morning telling the truck we're doing it over here or doing it on the side, saying we're directed to people. But we'll be able to get the word out to our people. I was worried about the second harvest food truck. But yes, there will be a conflict moving forward on that side. We're welcome to use the side parking lot. We just need to look at it. There's enough room I think there is, but.
Well, let's see if we can use it because for May the 27th and June the 24th, we gave them that information for that parking lot. We've also got to start putting out big signs so that the community or whomever comes will be able to see. So maybe that will help some. And I'll do my very best to be here to help the truck driver before he starts throwing down to do it on the parking lot on the opposite side.
Take a look at that side parking lot, just see what.
It should work. It should work.
See what you think.
They can just do a loop and go in and out.
We'll still be able to make a loop.
Yes,
It's
because
just,
that's what we
not
gotta
quite
have, in
big.
and out. Also, we are no longer, gonna be able to, like, we've been opening the trunks, the doors, that kind of stuff. They put a mandate on that we cannot do that any longer. It's against the law. Don't know what happened, but this new person has come out and all trying to.
Just through the window. Hang it through the.
No, the person, they need to make sure that they can tap their trunk or open their door themselves. And I explained to them in the meeting that we had a lot of handicapped people coming through, elderly. A lot of handicapped people coming through, which I explained to them about Chattahoochee is more so a retirement elderly people, and that's why we've been assisted. So they gave me no different rules or regulations that I can try and do anything. But I just feel like we'll be able to work it out. Not gonna even worry about it. We're gonna do what we can do, and we're gonna move on.
But if we get in trouble, we can blame it on
I mean,
Mr. Moultrie, because he's not here.
there you go.
But they won't stop us from putting it in the back of their pickup truck.
No.
If we can get them in line, we'll make
We
it work.
worked it out before, we can work it out.
Pop the trunk for them.
Roll the window down and stick it in.
We'll work it out. But I'd like to thank all of the volunteers, especially Main Street, for assisting us with all of this, because they have been a jewel. Even our mayor has worked diligently with the second harvest, and I would hate to lose it because we are having to go through so many changes because there's so many people calling, when are you gonna do it, when are you gonna do it? And I'm gonna work hard as I can to continue with it, even if we have to move our location, because it does help a lot of people in the city. I'd like to thank Mr. Preston for working so hard with me with all of this, because he has helped me so much. I've had to call on him so many times, and I like to tell your workers, thank you for working along with us, with them.
That's who we need to thank. Yeah, I haven't done anything, but
Because some of your
those guys.
workers even run to the different elderly people's homes to do it. And I truly like to thank them for this project. I'd like to thank you, ma'am, for the hard work that you do. You came in rolling up your sleeves. You didn't know you had all of that to do, did you? But I thank you for it. Mr. Simmons, thank you so very much for keeping your eyes on things. Did we answer all of your questions tonight?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
And thank you for all that you do. I'm sitting here waiting for Miss Thomas, because we know that our children are getting ready to get out of school. But you didn't bring anything to us.
No, we're in testing mode now.
Okay.
We have basically almost.
Because normally when it's getting time for them to get out of school, you usually ask us to donate for the parties or whatever, but you didn't say anything this time.
No, just put a pin there, we'll come back.
Oh, okay. All right, Mr. Miller, you said you're gonna be absent from school. The next time we're gonna miss you. You may have better have that phone close by you.
I'll be standing by.
Okay. And thank each and every one of you all for the work that you've been doing, because I know that you've been busy, because I've been getting some calls myself. I'm done.
Mr. President, I was wondering if we could do something. Kids are testing, and like they usually donate like snack bags for the kids. So since they're testing, I think that would be something good that we can agree on. Giving Ms. Thomas so that she can get like some, because that's important when they're testing to keep their mind moving.
We can do whatever y'all want to do.
How long y'all test, when y'all
That's
test?
3, well, we're on our first week, so we got 2 more weeks.
We got 2 more weeks.
Whatever the council desires, staff will make happen. We'll get to carry out your
Council?
wishes.
Ms. Thomas, can you get a?
You gonna make the youngest mad because they really have candy.
Can you get us can you get a recommended list for the snack bags? And let Robert know, and we'll get.
Well, it typically is a drink, chip, cookies.
Cookies, yeah.
That's typically what it is.
And how many kids are there?
60.
Or
60 that's getting tested.
Tested, it's getting tested.
60 get tested.
If we can come up with some numbers, if it's within, Ms. Presley, if it's within your, discretionary money.
Y'all wanna do it, yeah,
I
right?
think we could do it for, once a week.
Yeah. We could do it for like one a week.
1 week.
Yes, that'd be fine.
If we can do that, if it's within the money, why don't you do that?
Yeah, just a little bag of chips.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
take- You know, you can get those in assorted,
Yeah.
and then they can
Yeah,
pick.
Mhm.
'Cause
Kids
everybody
love
don't
it.
like the
That's
same
all
thing.
okay.
Right.
Yeah. It's, you fill up canned soft drinks? or-
No, like little juices, Capri's or little Hershey's.
Oh,
Those soft
They
drinks.
probably rather have Coke.
Squeeze box. The squeeze box.
Yes.
Like Capri Suns or whatever.
Late jammers.
Well, we get cookies together.
Give them some Mountain Dew, garage, they get through. Give them a Mountain Dew, they deserve it.
Yes, ma'am, we can take care of
To
it.
motivate, like,
Yeah.
drinking.
And you want to do both weeks of testing, 2 weeks?
Yeah,
So enough to do twice.
enough to do it twice.
Is that enough, 2 weeks?
Yes, yes.
So that'd be
120 plus my cookies.
Thank you.
well, that's good.
Yeah. All right, we will take care of that for you, Councilman.
Thank you for working so hard, Mr. Personnel, with us. My number one priority was getting a grocery store in Chattahoochee. You know, I've talked to you many times about that grocery store because that's very important, because
It is.
at 6 o'clock, I need a tomato, and I don't want to drive sneeze to get one. So,
I am proud every time we open a business or help someone open a business, but I am more proud of that than anything since I've been here.
it,
That was more needed.
it truly shows that this council has worked together with you to accomplish the goal that we've set. And yes, Mr. Sim, we still working.
Yes, good.
still working, we
We
still.
watch it.
We like a little train, we think we can, we think we can. We chug along.
So just thank everybody for everything you've done, and we're gonna keep focusing and keep moving on.
Ms. Glass?
The bike trail, you said we get the $50,000, when do you think we can start working on that?
And the state, their budget year doesn't start till July 1.
That's right, July.
So it'll be sometime after July 1 to get the funding, maybe September or something, so you're looking at probably next year. And this is just preliminary work, like to lay out the trail and everything, we'll still have to construct it.
And I want us to start thinking ahead, like, to do a farmer's market. Like,
A lot of people,
we got a lot of farmers around here that grow fresh vegetables and all that, and I'd like to see it like on Saturday, even if at the Heritage Park, or if we could get Red to let us use that where Tim's Peanuts was. You know, because that way older people could come. I know that Chattahoochee Main Street's got a good thing going where you can get the lettuce and all that, and now they're going to do some fresh vegetables. But like you have to do it on the internet, so some elderly people don't know how to do that. But I think if we could contact some of our local farmers and do something like on Saturdays, like they do in Mariana and Bainbridge, I think that would help out our local farmers and our local people.
the, can't remember her name, but the student working at Main Street. Anyway,
I can't remember either.
she has done some great things, and she has put together, I was down there just a few weeks back looking at the things she's put together about that farmer's market and all. It's being discussed, it's talked about, it's a great, everybody agrees it would be a great thing, or they think it would. But at some point, if we don't think that the private world is getting it done, then you could designate a place and put up a pole barn or something, and then let come people, try to encourage it, but again, we have to find out.
Because like I went to the Mariana one, I just went to walk around, look and see,
I've been there.
and they just set up under that thing.
Yeah.
But I know we can't start out huge, but at least it would give people an opportunity to get some fresh vegetables. And
There's grant money out there for
well,
that,
let's get it.
especially where we are. It would be easy to get that Department of Agriculture grant. That one in Quincy, I wrote that, got 199,000. It had to be under 200,000, but we were in a food desert, as he touched on earlier. We are all but in a food desert now.
Well, you just go right ahead and get it.
Well, you gotta have the property.
Well,
That's our catch. Where to put the building, they fund the building. And the shelves for the fruits and the vegetables, where are you gonna put it? That's our problem. Now, the Main Street project, as you probably know, if you looked at the video, is identified a piece of property down by the, tire store. So if that was to come through, the city, I don't mind helping with grant, I will write the grant. But you gotta have the willing partner that owns the land, unless we could find a piece we could get, or you can have a farmer's market and you can get a grant to do it. Not hard at all.
How big a land spider would you think?
I don't think we don't need a Mariana style farmer's market. We need a Tim's, a little bigger than what Tim's has. Less.
Yeah.
You need a few stalls, but like one of these pole barns you see that maybe is 24 by 48 or something like that, you can get a few benches and tables in.
St. Joe has a gazebo type thing, and it's on Million House Block.
The one I envision, go to Chipley. If anybody's been there, go through Chipley, when you get almost through town, it's on your left, on the corner.
Oh, yeah, I know where you're talking about.
And they have the sliding doors, so when they close it, all of their display things are on wheels. It's just the cutest thing. It's wood built, and then at the end of the day, they roll them in and slide the doors, and they're out of there. It's not huge. It's about the size of where we are right here.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of stuff in there. But that's what my personal opinion, I would like to see something like that. But if we had a place or someone willing to give us a lease on the place, on the property, we could write a grant to get the farmer's market. Now then you gotta get the farmers to come and participate, have the produce, but.
Who owns where the vet used to live? The vet used to.
The dentist.
Dr. Matthew?
Behind the park store?
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. McClarty owns that,
McClarty.
but I heard through the grapevine that, not from him, that he had donated that to the Methodist Church.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
That may or may not be correct, but I had heard that, so that
That would be a perfect spot if they do own it, the church.
He would be, I think he would be willing to let us use that.
If he still owns it, that would make
Dr.
sense.
McClarty.
I've talked with him personally about it a couple of years ago, but I didn't mean anything.
But I was just thinking, that's right there, it's not right on the street, but it's still got two drives going,
It's perfect.
Well, it's got one road, one alley.
yeah.
Perfect. Shady, kind of shady, and you can see it.
You had spot for parking. That's neither here nor there.
Well, you're
We
gonna
got
start
parking
hearing-
right here.
You're gonna start hearing a lot about parking.
We got parking right here, it ain't that far to walk through. Capable people, you know what I'm saying? Uncapable people, we have to figure out.
You're gonna have some people anyway. That's a good idea.
But when we get to that point, y'all ready to move on that, there's some activity on farmers markets, they're doable. Our limitation currently is a piece of property, although there is some effort in town through Main Street and others looking at a parcel that is available. That's where the old hotel was.
But you'll check with Dr. McLaughlin.
Yeah, that was the last one I know of. If he has given it to the church, they probably would be,
I had his number written down somewhere on a little piece of paper.
I hope I still got it.
Can y'all think of anywhere else that would be big enough?
You know,
I can.
I thought, well, I don't know how the city as a municipality deal with eminent domain or whatever. At one point, at one meeting, I asked that we contact, I don't know what proper representative or whatever, in the property by the post office, those two houses and everything.
Yeah.
To clear out the eminent domain on those and to try to get that property.
Of the 99.
That's the state.
Yeah, state, but would we have the right to declare eminent domain on it and get it?
That's the tricky.
You have a purpose,
Yeah, we does have a purpose, cause.
Take it from the state?
you start with your comprehensive plan. That's where you model it.
But that's a prime piece of property,
Yeah.
and we need to at least try to get it, and we have representatives in
I don't
some
think
places.
anybody's living in those anymore.
We use them for interviews now.
Yeah, that's what I thought I saw out there the other day.
Try to get that whole piece.
Well, they donated us 45 acres, so it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done.
That's who it was at the land, the river we got there was the state. You gotta go through about 40 layers of people, but
He's in them all.
But election year coming up pretty soon, it'll be a fine time.
Yeah, to start,
Who owns the property that you're talking about?
the Florida State Hospital.
Is that the two houses he was referring to? All right, we cannot exercise eminent domain over the state.
And I was wondering.
Oh, you can't?
No, you can't. But acquisition through them is an avenue worthy of pursuit, if you have that need purpose.
What about, we talked about Mr. Mosley since he's here again. The trailer park right here is on commercial.
Every bit of it's all commercial.
We could convince him to relocate a couple of those trailers off of there.
He already has, and we've met with him about a fruit stand as well.
You make it have enough room to put the market down there.
yeah,
We're talking about now on
I
the
thought that's commercial.
western edge along Main there, maybe him doing something commercial there, it's an investment with the buildings and all. But no, he has not ruled it out, and there has been meetings with him as the new owner about the possibility. He's not still trying to find, I'm still trying to, well, she don't care, the donut shop. We're still trying to place her. And that's one of the options that we met with him about.
So you said someone's are about to run the pawn shop, right? That can't be one.
Right.
And then Eddie's, what about that next door where they fix the roof?
Well, it's available, but it's got to have some work.
And then Miss Mundy, that owns this, I think that's one.
Yeah.
She ain't wanting to sell, is she?
The one on, she will not sell, she'll sell the second one.
Cause I know another lady that's interested in the 9 nickel. She's already talked to Mr. Roberts.
It's just so much interest right now, we're going to run out of deals, so.
Oh, we don't run out of them.
Yeah, we're going to run out of deals, but that's a good problem to have.
Yes, sir.
That's why we're looking at these other ones like down, I mentioned the Main Street project down there that young lady's done a great job. I've been dealing with Mr. Moultrie because that is already, the zoning is already perfect, it's level.
It's on the arterial road, so you don't have to.
So it is an option.
And all the people that go to work from the hospital off I-10,
What are they doing with the Family Dollar at one time, that building?
oh, down here. The man that
There
bought
used to
it,
be a Family Dollar at one time.
Nothing.
yeah,
Mr. Brown,
he wants $7,000 a month.
it must be a tax thing.
$7,000 a month. I said, you're gonna go drugs or it's gonna be a problem. So anybody can say
But
that.
he's gonna have to,
What the world, $7,000?
do some work to it, at some point.
You can't get that in July.
What else, Ms. Amy?
That's all for me. I'm happy we have a 4th of July.
Mr. Robert, if the COVID vaccination in town runs into a space that we cannot use the parking lot in the grocery store over here, is the parking lot for the city hall available, or
They've already looked at it and approved it.
how about parking at the health department building on Maple?
If they looked at that one, I have no idea about it. I took them here myself and met with their guy who sets everything up, their facilities guy. They said it was fine. But if it doesn't pick up participation, they're not gonna be anymore. Cause it's a pretty big effort and investment for them to load up and bring that vaccine and those nurses and everything, and if they're just not getting, and it's not just us, they're shutting all outside.
Fellow council members, if you have anything that you want Mr. Preston to work on for the budget, get him a list on a piece of paper. If you haven't talked to him, or if you change your mind about something,
And I'm glad you said that. I'm almost through with my departments, working on, so we're pretty far along. Ron and I met on it last week, and,
We need it on Wednesday at least.
would y'all like to have a workshop in June? You wanna go ahead and set a date, or we talk about it at the June meeting, but at some point, we'll go over it, let you, we workshop and discuss items in there, and there's no great big changes. We don't have any very big capital projects, or so far, just replaced a few pieces of equipment, and the revenue is off some from the state, and I'm hoping it catches back up with the economic activity, but right now, we're a little behind schedule on what they published, that, was anticipated revenue, gas taxes, sales taxes, things of that nature, but we'll have a better read on it by June.
June has 5 Tuesdays.
yeah, we got 5 Tuesdays in June, one's already taken, so we got 4 more. If you wanna have it on any of those other Tuesdays,
Pick one.
pick one, whatever y'all's
Let's
choice.
do the first, oh, we
We
already
already
done
have
one
a
day.
couple of meetings on first.
I'll try for the 15th. Unless y'all wanna go down there and be in the movie,
That's what I thought he said, he's gonna put some in.
that's maybe.
15th is fine.
First, I like drink it, take some.
Y'all wanna do one at same time, different time?
Just tentatively set one for 6:30 on the 15th of June.
What's that?
You have any trouble with that, Ms. Henry?
No.
All right, that will take care of that, and we can proceed. We're gonna have to have several meetings to set the millage rate and a number of things, but, we'll have it ready for you. But again, like you said, Mr. Mayor, if they think of something else, give me a call. Now.
If I was him, I wouldn't be surprised, just, oh yeah, we'll gladly do it. So, they know what you got going on. If we can work it out, that's fine. If we can't, we'll work it out somewhere else.
I wanted to ask the chief, y'all need anything? Everything going good?
So good so far.
You got a full staff yet?
Well, we got one more that we're waiting to relocate from, South Florida,
Okay.
and, hopefully by next meeting, I'll be introducing him.
Well, I appreciate all you done. That was a big present.
We have no more business, no more amendments. We'll stand adjourned.
Well, have a good evening.
You too, be careful.
Oh,
Yes, you be careful.
yeah, we're gonna get a little rain probably tonight. Good to see you, Chief.
Yes, sir, good to see you.